Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Series Strategy Game, and we are returning to Let's Play of Carrier Battles 4 with the new Seaplane DLC. We're playing the Battle of the Coral Sea, and we've done fairly well as the Japanese side so far. On the first day here, we have sunk 2 American aircraft carriers, which we suspect are the Lexington and the Yorktown, but we have some potentially our historical scenarios enabled, so we don't know whether the Americans do have the Enterprise and the Hornet in the vicinity. They didn't have historically, but there's a 50% chance that they do. There's also a 50% chance that they do have more Royal Australian aircraft planes stationed in Australia over here, so we don't know exactly what's going on, and I do really like that concept. I mean, yes, we are historically strong, but also we don't know what's going on, and that is kind of cool, I think. So, let's talk about the strategy here as we are nearing the end of day 1. It's currently 7 PM, 1900 hours, but in about an hour the daylight will cease, flight operations will cease at that point, and we're going to have 7 turns with 4 phases each, so basically until 5:20 on the next day, where there will be no air operations. And that does lead to a very interesting scenario, because basically you are sort of losing sight of where the enemy could be, and it's sort of rearranging the battle a little bit. It could be pretty much that the enemy fleet is sailing around you, that they are on the other side of you, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be very interesting to see the setup on the next day, and I've been thinking really hard about what our strategy should be. Just as a reminder, our main carrier forces, Carrier Division 1 and 2, are currently set up over here, right in the center of the Solomon Sea, or slightly to the south of that. We've also got a carrier group up over here. They haven't really been engaged so far. These guys did lose a couple of their air groups, some of them are disrupted and so on, but again, we did sink 2 carriers, so that's a fair trade-off. But what are we going to do from here? We've got basically 2 options. These guys cannot sail through these hexes that have a red border over here, or this little green dot, because that's basically too shallow for the carriers. So what these carriers could do is they could go southeast and really enter the Coral Sea over here. Now, the upside of that is we could try to hunt down some of the remnants of the American forces over here, especially their cruiser fleets, that have been around and that have been accompanying the 2 carriers that we know of. It might also lead us to sink 2 further American carriers, which just might be around, we don't know. And that is historical, that the Japanese didn't really know what they were up against until the first attack on Tulagi by, I think, Yorktown? But it might have been Lexington, I'm not entirely sure. One of them did attack Tulagi, and at that point, really, the Japanese knew that there's 1 carrier in the vicinity. And then once there was an attack on the light carrier here, the Sohu, then they knew it was definitively 2 carriers in the vicinity. We don't know yet. We only know that we did sink 2. So, shall we go and try to hunt for them? Now, I'm very skeptical about that, and the reason for that is, well, there's no guarantee that we're going to come out on top of that fight. And historically, at this point in the war, Japan really did need to preserve its carrier forces. They had an advantage, and we've certainly driven and increased that advantage, especially compared to the historical scenario where only 1 of them was sunk. But is that enough? Do we want to risk our carriers in a maybe pursuit of something that might or might not be a worthwhile target? It's a very risky behavior for something that is not guaranteed to make any payoff at all. And I don't think that's that useful at all. And the second bit is, our actual objective for this scenario is to capture Port Moresby on the south side of New Guinea over here, to really start and choke off Australia. And I think that is the main thing to focus on over here. We've got our 2 task forces here. These are going to sail towards Port Moresby, and they're going to sail throughout the night, but they're only going to make it 7 hexes, so let's say roundabout over here. And the rest of this area over here will need to be covered during daylight. And that does, to me, indicate that we should probably focus on doing this, and rather than going southeast, go northwest. And maybe keep our carriers in the Solomon Sea, where we know that they will be relatively safe. Not completely safe, mind you, but safer at least than in the Gulf of Papua or the Coral Sea itself. So, that's the two alternatives. Do we want to go there? Do we want to go down here? I think going into the Coral Sea is more exciting from a gaming perspective and from an entertainment perspective, but from a realism perspective, I think we should try to keep our carriers safe. Now, after all of these deliberations, I think I'm going to split the difference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Task Force 10 over here to actually come back over here, sort of sail over here, and they're going to try to provide air cover for our two groups there. And the same is going to be done by you guys. You are also going to try to make your way over here and basically cover for these guys, cover for yourself, and we will probably attack Port Moresby, the airfield there, during the mornings, simply so that we don't get a counter-strike by these guys in particular. Now, that is for them. Task Force 9 over here, Hiraju and Suraju, I'm sorry about these names, I'm going to continue to butcher them. These guys are going to come down here into this area there, and that will be supported by these other carrier forces. So we will try to combine Carrier Task Force, Carrier Division 3 with Task Force 9, I don't know which one it is, and Task Force 10 is going to go up over here. So that should be fine. And then Task Force 10.1, that's the two battleships that we did split off. You guys are going to try to come down here. And that should basically settle everyone over here. We also got Task Force 11. You're sailing to this spot to build a seaplane base there. And I think that is fine. You guys are not under our control, so that's okay too. Yeah. And that is basically that. You can basically, by the way, still see that a couple of our planes here are returning from their strike down there. So that should be a-okay. We are going to simply try to land you guys on there. You guys are going to have some problems. Oh no, you're actually landing at the airfield. Well, that's fine. You're going to land there at night. That is going to be a problem. But still, I think it was worthwhile to sacrifice these air groups during that time. And you can see it's now 1940? I don't know. 20 to 8. Let's call it like that. And our forces are landing over here. Most of our planes are doing that, and that's fine. And it's now night. And I don't think we are seeing any further destruction here. And let's just, by the way, briefly look at the losses over here. So on our side, we did lose 4 torpedo bombers, 1 dive bomber, and a couple of land-based planes. It's harsh losses, but compare that to the Americans. And honestly, also the torpedoes, of course, historically were the strongest that the Japanese had. So it is a little bit It's not that great that we did take these losses, but what can we do? Right, so let's progress through the night over here. And what we're going to do is we are going to go for some advanced timing here, simply so that these guys can do their things. And we don't need to be too concerned about what they're doing here. Just briefly check on this. Okay, so yeah, we did lose another G4M because it was trying to land at night. But again, I think that's just well warranted. So yeah, let's go for another 3 hours here. I don't think we are going to see any combat during the night. Only these battleships down here might actually sort of stumble into an enemy, but I think that's going to be alright. That's exactly what they're supposed to do, really. And the surface engagement, I think at this point, I mean, they do have carriers, cruisers, but I think against our battleships that would be fine. I'm slightly concerned about these carriers, so I'm going to move them first, because we don't know exactly where the enemy cruisers are. They must be in this area somewhere, and I want to prevent that from happening too much. Right, it is 4 AM now, and that does, I think, mean we can at least start to plan out a couple of air operations. They're not going to launch before 5:20, but at least we can plan them. So, I think one of our most important objectives is to take out Port Moresby. And that is precisely what we're going to try to do with Task Force 10 over here. So let's pick Task Force 10, and you guys, let's see what you've got. Okay, so you've got basically, let's move the entire stack here to do a land strike with you guys. Same here with you. You don't have any traffic jam, so that's good to see. Can you guys actually do a strike over here, or is that strictly torpedo planes? I think the B5M could target ground units, but I'm not sure. Can we do it with bombs? Yeah, you can be used in a bombing setup. And I think this is the land-based strike, right? Okay, let's ensure that we are picking Port Moresby. You'd be launching at 5:20, you'd be over the target at 7 AM, and you'd land at 8:40. All good. I think that's great. Right. Yeah, now you're using the bombs here. So that's fine. Yeah, good. Right, do we want to use anything else then? I think we want to use at least a couple of fighters to come along with you guys. It's still 80 minutes, even though you're having a little bit of a traffic jam here, but I think that's okay. Question is, can we use more of these guys here without that jumping up to more than 80 minutes? Okay, yeah, mostly. Right, so that's alright on the Kaga. Let's look for Akagi. You can use a little bit more of that. Yeah, so let's try to use everyone that we can. And that should be okay. So we do bring a lot of forces to bear over there against this airfield, which I do hope should help us out a little bit. Right, and we're going to set that up as the priority on both of these things. That's fine. And then I think what we want to do as well is do a search. You know what, let's keep a little bit of a reserve here in terms of torpedo planes. That's going to be okay. And then we're going to launch a combat air patrol very much soon afterwards. Carrier Task Force Aid, you guys can go ahead and bring pretty much everyone into the air as well. Because I want you guys to provide combat air patrol to basically everyone around. So that's fine. And then we've got... who else have we got? We've got Task Force 9. You guys definitely do need to run a search pattern now. The Americans do know that we are here, so I think that's going to be alright. And we are going to use you guys for that. Didn't you have some cruisers as well? Maybe I should have used the other one because I think you guys do have some cruisers. Yeah. Okay, let's do some search patterns here. I do not think we need 360 degrees. But then again, I don't know. It's been a night turn, so really we don't know where the enemy is. So let's do it like this. I think that's going to be alright. Yeah, okay, fine. Good. Task Force 8, you don't have anything else. So let's set you up. Sorry, I just need to do it like that. Slightly convoluted sometimes. Okay, Task Force 9 actually, fine. Okay, you have send out one search pattern there, but I think 2 of them would be okay too. And let's try to put up 1 aircraft at least for both of you. That should be okay. And then the other things that we're going to do is we are going to prep some bombs here, some strike here, as just as a precaution that if we do spot anyone during the morning, I think it will be relatively soon that we spot anyone, if there's anyone around. So that we have you guys ready to launch as soon as possible. Yeah, so if we spot someone down here, they will be engaged, and they will be engaged early, and I think that's fine. Task Force 4 over here, you guys, let's make sure to send out search planes as soon as possible. So let's start with the float planes here. That's okay, and then in terms of other search patterns, I think we're going to also send out some of you guys like that. That should be okay, and then we're going to do some combat air patrol just in case. Do we want to prep some planes on the runway? I think we do. It's not necessarily that we're going to use these guys, but I think in case we do need them, I would like them to be prepped just immediately. So that's fine. And in terms of other things, let's prioritize the combat air patrol here and the search. So that's good. Okay, fine. Anything else then that we want to do? Yes, of course, Tulagi. You guys don't have anything. Okay, fine. How about the other seaplanes? We've got Ricata. You guys do have quite a bit of stuff. Let's send out a couple of search patterns here. Yeah, I think 120 degrees... it's gonna be alright. I'm not entirely sure though. Can we? Yeah, well, let's do it like this. I think it's okay. And then you guys can do this search pattern. And you know what, here we're going to do 180 degrees. And can we do that slightly differently? Like such? Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, and then we're a Bald Seaplane base. Let's start by sending out more search patterns here. That's alright. And some fighters is good too. And then lastly, our normal air bases. So that's just the Seaplane base. Is there a normal one here? Yeah, there is. Okay, but that's just the Seaplane base. But we've also got the normal one here. Okay, what we're going to do with you guys is we are also going to double down on Port Moresby. That's fine, you're going to arrive now after the other guys. But I think it is going to be nice to start prepping there as well. Then we're going to do some combat air patrol here. That's fine, you guys are going to start. Down here, we've got more planes that I think are going to do the same thing. And we're really going to double down on Port Moresby simply because I want to take it out as an operational base. And you're going to be here at the same time as the other guys. So that's good too. And Lae, you guys definitely do need to put up some air defenses here. And then likewise, we're going to do a strike here on Port Moresby. You're going to be actually the first ones to be there. So let's actually support you with some combat air patrol. That's fine. Do we want to do anything else here? We could return you to a different air base. No, I think that's okay. Yeah, let's do it like this. That's fine. Okay, so a bit of a setup here for the morning phase, but that is just what you need to do, I think. Anything else that we want to do in terms of setting up here for the next day? Well, I think you guys do want to set up in the thunderstorm there. Simply so that you're going to be a little bit harder to spot. You guys might hug the coast here. Simply so that you are in a rain squall there, which will also make you a little bit harder to spot. And that, I think, is a good idea. Anyone else down here? No, I think everyone's fine. You guys up here, you're pretty much irrelevant how you're moving about because you're not going to move into a rain squall anyway. So that's fine. There we go. Okay, and this is the actual morning here of the second day of the battle. So that's great to see. You guys are building up that base, right? Okay, no, I think I did need to click on that, but now you're doing that. And you do actually now have a base. Okay, that's great. Let's send out search patterns here. I don't think we need a 360 search, but I think something like this. Let's do 180. Let's do 240. Should be A-okay. Right, there we go. Nice. Fine. Great. Fantastic. Good. We can move up over here. Let's move into that because it looks a little bit better. Although maybe we could have moved up here as well. Right, so 520, you can see the first strikes are coming into the right direction here. What we need to do now is pick Task Force 8. You guys do have a lot of planes here that I think I did not send out. Let's try to send out all of you guys. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send some combat air patrol here over these guys. And I think 2 planes are warranted to do that. Yeah, let's get you guys over there. And then on Task Force 7 as well. 2 planes. Go there immediately. Oh, we only have 1 plane left. Fine. Something is wrong. Task Force 7, there we go. Okay, nice. Okay, that still means you've got a little bit of cover here, I think. So that should be okay. And in terms of Task Force 10, how about you guys? You guys do not have any cover now, so let's at least get 1 plane from each carrier here on a combat air patrol. And as soon as we're going to be spotted, which I think we are going to be soon, we are going to send more planes into the sky. First search patterns are being conducted down here. That's good to see. Let's move you guys up into the cloud here. That's fine. And yeah, you can see the combat air patrol there is flying towards these guys. And the first strikes are coming in towards Port Moresby. We haven't really found an enemy yet. That's okay for now. But I really want to know whether we are going to find someone. Okay, first strike is going to happen now. I'm not sure who these guys were. I think just the land-based planes. And you can see the enemy has stationed a lot of planes. B-17s, B-24s, B-26s, Mitchells and Marauders, Fortresses into this area down here. And a lot of fighters actually. That's a lot of P-39s. Which, mind you, are not the best fighters, but still they've got 3 in the air already and a lot of AA defenses. So presumably they are going to do some damage here against these land-based bombers. But they are not actually. They only drove away the A5M, which is not a 0. But now we can strike their airbase, and that should hopefully disrupt them a little bit. At least it's going to disrupt the airfield itself. Okay, a first strike here. Not the most dramatic one, but at least we did cause some damage. No indication of any enemy presence here. Interesting. Interesting. Do we want to move away these guys over here? Maybe we do need to move you a little bit. No, sorry, that's not where you want to move you. You guys do need to come a little bit towards the east over here, I think. Right. No indication of an enemy. No indication of being spotted ourselves. And as I say that, over Task Force 10, we are being spotted by a B-26, and that's over here. Not a big surprise. Not a big surprise at all, unfortunately, but it does mean that you guys here in Task Force 10 do need to send more planes into the air, because you are going to get unfriendly visitors soon, and we're going to prep more guys here on the runway to be launched immediately as soon as we do find an enemy. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. Right, let's move you into cloud cover here as well. It might help shaking the enemy, but that's okay. Further attacks on Port Moresby. Again, they do have some fighters in the air, but not that many. One of them must have landed. So that's a good indication here, but let's see whether we're going to be shot down here. These are... Okay, one of them is confused, but one of their guys is damaged too. And we are going to be able to strike here with a couple of forces, which is nice to see. Are we going to damage anything on the ground or anything like that? End of battle. Doesn't seem like we did a lot of damage, but we are coming in with our carrier strike forces this time. And this time they don't actually have any combat air patrol left, so that's good to see. So they were forced to land here. Nice. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't seem like they did any damage to us. And we did at least destroy a couple of their units on the ground. We did damage the airfield. We did get some guys here to be confused and all of that. So that's very, very nice to see. Good strikes over here. And we've got one further strike coming in, which is also very nice to see. But no indication of enemy surface forces. And that is starting to be quite concerning. Let's move into cloud cover there as soon as possible. Yeah, we did destroy two of their air squadrons, and Port Moresby is unoperational as an airfield for now, but that type of damage is relatively easy to repair, so it's not necessarily a good indication for anything. I'm slightly afraid that they have sent out a strike package towards our towards Task Force 10 already, so I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to send more planes here into the air. The big issue about the Japanese is they didn't have radar, so that means we are going to not be aware of any inbound airstrike, pretty much unless it's on top of us. So, yeah, let's try to get rid of that. You guys are moving in the right direction. You are under overcast conditions already, so that's fine. We don't need to move there. That's basically all okay. You guys are joining up here, which is nice to see as well. We've got a lot of search patterns running about, but it's really not... We don't see that much. Okay, another strike coming in. Apparently they do still have some groups here in the air, which is really not nice to see. I would have hoped that we basically shot down the entire airfield. Confused and aborted, so that's basically no strike here, or just one with lower ability. But nevertheless, we do destroy another B-26 here, which is good. So yeah, nice, but again, it's not as much as I would have hoped that we would do. Let's briefly check on whether we've got anyone running about over here in any of these airfields. I mean, you guys are all fine and stuff, but yeah, no real capacity to do further searches. Task Force 10, I don't think you've landed enough forces yet. Wait, that's not what I want to do. Right, yeah, you've basically got a lot of people in the air, and a lot of people are landing, but we'll need to send them out again, I think. How about you? No one over here? How about Lae? Yeah, you know what? We're going to immediately send you guys out on another strike here. Because at this point, Port Moresby is... It's not the only dangerous place for us. The Americans, or the Allies, might as well send out forces from down here, from Townsville, Cairns, to strike on us. And they might be on their way now, but we don't know that yet. And still no indication of any enemy forces. That is really a little bit, I don't know. I don't know what to make out of that. Right, let's send a lot of forces here onto another strike against Port Moresby. All of the other air bases are pretty much out of reach anyway, so I think that's going to be alright. Right, 60 minutes here, 60 minutes there. I think that's okay. Unless we are going to be attacked, that should be enough time. You guys are under overcast conditions. That's okay. Can't really expect more than that. So that's okay. Right, Task Force 11 here, you guys. Can I actually ask you to... No, I think you need to stay there. Do you? I don't know. Well, let's see. How about you guys? Are you not sending out any search patterns? No, sorry, not all of you. Sorry, just one. One of you guys do go on a search pattern here. Slightly concerned that we might run into the enemy there. Enemy scout spotted over Task Force 7. I think that's down here, right? That is an issue. Okay, so let's send further planes from Task Force 10 down there. So you guys do go over Task Force 7. Let's send 2 planes here, which should be okay. There we go. Yeah. The issue is, these types of attacks can materialize very quickly, and as we learned last time, they can turn around a good day into a bad day in a very, very short amount of time. And we've seen that certainly for the Americans, but we don't want to suffer the same fate here. Because remember, the Americans can actually afford to lose a carrier or two. Japan can't. Japan just really can't. The industrial capability is just really not there to do anything like that. We are still seeing that they are operational and that they can send air units into the air. They are losing a P-39 here against our A-5M. That's nice to see. And we are bombing their airfield, hopefully for some effect. No. Pretty much no effect on the bombing itself, but at least we did shoot down one of their fighters. So, okay, I suppose not the biggest deal, but still. Right, let's try to meet up over here with both of these guys. Seems like the upper task force here did need a little bit more time, but yeah, fine. Okay, the next strike is coming in here. That's good to see. We did destroy them. Enemy spotted over RJ. It's you guys over here. A B-17 spotted at that distance. Well, that's interesting. I don't think we can do anything to protect these guys. But I think they're not too threatened anyway, because they are. I mean, they're out on the Solomon Islands. This is not an area where historically the Americans did have too many capabilities until the Guadalcanal campaign. And there's a great video, by the way, of Drachnefell to check out on that. So do look at that if you want. Huh. Wait a minute. You guys out of fuel. D3M. D3A. Where were you guys? Why did you come back? Did I send you out on a search pattern and didn't... Well, that's awkward. I thought you would return on your own. This is 28... weird. Okay, someone had to ditch. Don't know why. We're going to attack Port Moresby again. Just one fighter available for them now. And we've got a lot of planes coming in here. So hopefully they're going to be able to do something. And we're not hopefully going to take too many losses. Okay. Big strike here on the airfield. But it doesn't seem like we're doing a lot of damage here against these planes. P-39s are being damaged. But that's just basically it. The B-17 is the one that I'm really afraid of. And no indication of any enemy surface forces. That's really peculiar. Okay, you guys... Okay, you can't get down there. Are you still under over? No, you're under clear conditions. Let's get both of you here under the clouds. So that we're not being spotted as easily. But yeah... And still no indication of the enemy. I really find that troubling. Our forces are slowly but surely making it close over there, but is there any point doing that unless we know that they are there? It's basically midday now, so interesting setup so far. Planes are coming back, especially the fighters that were providing some air cover down there. So I think we will, for the afternoon, basically set up a new couple of air missions. We are doing well in Port Moresby, I think. We are pretty much taking them out, but we don't know. We know that there are cruisers around, and we don't know where. And we think there might be carriers around, but we don't know where. So I'm still very concerned that we are being jumped here at any moment. And we could be sunk. Historically, at Midway, it was 5 minutes that spelled the death for the Kido Butai. So, we don't know. That being said, I think this is a good place to put in a cut. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And I hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye.